I mean, yeah, we don't have any external data to look and see if those prophecies that were foretold were actually accurate.
One such prophecy that we have plenty of outside resources for that are not the Bible. It's something that has been historically proven from many secular sources as well. So let me pull that up real quick. It's going to be another Bible verse, but I promise I'm going somewhere with it. In Ezekiel 26:12, they will plunder your wealth and loot your merchandise. They will break down your walls and demolish your fine houses and throw your stones, timber, and rubble into the sea. Now, this was a prophecy that was given against the trade city of Tyre. They were a massive city, and this was prophesied that they were going to fall. Pretty detailed, exactly what's going to happen. And then 3 years later, after the prophecy was given, Nebuchadnezzar laid siege to the city. And here's where we run into our first roadblock, because he didn't do any of those things. And a lot of times people are like, see, it's a failed prophecy. That didn't happen. But then we look at our secular sources, and we go back to 333 to 332 BC, when Alexander the Great laid siege to Tyre. And the citizens of Tyre retreated to their island city off the shore, and Alexander proceeded to destroy the inland city and throw its rubble, stones, and timber and soil into the sea to build a land bridge to the island city and take it as well. Now, this took place 254 years after the prophecy was given, and it came about exactly as prophesied, and it is verified by historians abroad, both Christian and secular historians, that this took place. The land bridge that he built using their soil, their timber, and their stones, by throwing it into the sea, still exists today. So that's one such example that was prophesied 254 years later, came about exactly as it was prophesied. And I'd like to get your thoughts on that before we go forward.
I mean, sure, I have absolutely no problems accepting this, I guess, prophecy. We've had thousands of years for the prophecy to happen. It's not an extraordinary claim. Humans will lay siege to each other. Obviously, we don't always get along, but just of the city itself crumbling is not really an extraordinary claim. Like, there's a difference between claims that could probably happen, and then there's extraordinary claims.
Okay. Well, we might have missed a few details, because it didn't just crumble. It was prophesied that they would plunder it and loot it, tear down the walls, demolish their houses, and throw the stones, the timber, and the rubble into the sea. And then we see that fulfilled to build that land bridge. And you're right, cities are laid siege to. We have wars and stuff today, but how many of them resulted in a land bridge by throwing the rubble of the destruction into the sea, and it taking place 254 years after the fact that it was foretold? I don't think that too many actually fit that criteria to a T. And to me, and we may see it differently, and that's fine, but the details given about what's going to happen to the city and then what they're going to do with what's left over, to me that is an extraordinary claim, because it's not something that we hear of or that we've seen repeated in history that I'm aware of.
Like I said, I have no problems accepting this particular one.
Okay.
But I would go on further, saying that it's not an extraordinary claim, because most of the cities, especially close to the Roman Empire, we know historically that some of the bricks and foundations that were broken were later reused in future archetype.
To rebuild the city.
Rebuild the city that they were
Mhm.
going for. They
Right.
reused existing material to build from. So the only data we really have to accept, I mean, the things you've said, like plundering and looting and throwing stones and everything, that it can be performed by humans reasonably.
Well, But yeah, but of course it can be. It was performed by humans, but I think we're missing they didn't just they didn't lunder and pollute and then throw stones at each other. They literally took that rubble from the city's destruction and did exactly what was prophesied and cast it into the sea. And that was done to build a bridge that still exists to this day. So we do have a historical record of that. But we can absolutely move on from there to establish a little more historicity of the Bible.
Sure.